One, wait for the red box and you'll be live, yeah?
Right, we're live. Okay, it's now just coming up to 3:20. I apologise for the delay in getting started. Anyway, I'd like to welcome you all to this virtual meeting of the Hounslows Licensing Panel.
Wait for the red box and you'll be live, yeah?
Yeah, can I ask if you've got your microphone switched on? Can I ask you to switch those off? Okay, you mute your microphones. Apologise for the delay, because I can hear myself speaking through the screen with a 2-minute delay. Right, that seems to be okay. Right, I'd like to welcome the members of the panel who are sitting here today, as well as council officers who will be assisting members throughout the meeting. In addition, I would like to welcome members of the public who may be watching this meeting at home. As you all may know, until this year, virtual meetings for council business was not legal. But as a result of the coronavirus pandemic and the quarantine arrangements required by government, the law has recently been changed to allow local authorities to meet in a virtual way to make decisions. Therefore, this meeting is taking place using the new government regulations. The way this meeting will work will be, as chair, I will be running the meeting and inviting people to speak. As it is very easy for people to speak over each other in a meeting like this, I will ask each member or officer to speak in turn at the appropriate stage. This will mean there should normally be no need for people to interrupt or to ask to speak. However, I will make sure that all members have ample opportunity to ask questions and make comments on the reports and applications before them. The exception to this arrangement will be the legal committee or licensing officers who may turn on their microphone to alert me to any legal governance or licensing issue that needs addressing. Although I would expect this to be a rare occurrence, in addition, we have a producer of the meeting from our ICT department who may also contact me if necessary, but I think it's unlikely if all goes well, as we hope it will. The etiquette for members of the panel, for officers and other persons who are expected to speak, we expect them to mute your microphones until you're asked to speak. This means that only one person will be speaking at a time, and there will be no background noise, making it easier for us all to follow the meeting and also for those watching at home. I will also ask members always to say who they are when they make a contribution and to speak slowly and clearly for the same reason. We have 3 members of the licensing committee with us today to form this licensing panel, and it is we who will be making the decisions. Officers of the council will provide assistance and advice as required, but final decision will be made by members. I'd now like to introduce the members one by one. So I'll invite the members to speak. So, I've got my names are different to what I started off with. So I'm going to ask Councillor Giles if you would introduce yourself.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Gabriella Giles and I'm a councillor for Chiswick Riverside and I'm a member of the licensing committee. Apologies, I'm just going to have to switch my network, so you might lose me for a little bit, but I will be here. Okay,
before we get into any business, I'll halt if we reach that stage.
All right,
you've heard my voice and my introduction on a number of occasions previously. So, right, okay, Gabriella. Right, so the next councillor is Councillor Kiani. Could you please introduce yourself?
Okay, yes, my name is Councillor Afzal Kiani. I represent Hounslow Heath Ward and I'm the member of this committee, this panel. Sorry.
Right, thanks, Councillor Kiani. I'm Councillor Richard Foote. I'm an elected member for Hamworth Ward, and I am chair of the licensing committee and chair of this particular panel. So I'm now going to go to the officers, who I don't think have changed since we started. Nicola, can I ask you to introduce yourself?
Yes, of course. My name's Nicola Harbour and I'm the Licensing Authority Officer.
Right, fine. And Anthony, can I ask you to introduce yourself? Is he with us?
Sorry, Chair. I think Anthony is on another call. That's why he hasn't joined yet.
Ah, he was with us. Well, I'll come back. Is he actually, when you say he's on another call?
Yeah, I tried to dial him in and he declined, so I'd assume he's on another call at the moment. We can move on to Bill.
Yeah, he was with us in the meeting room earlier.
Let me
need
try.
Our legal officer.
Let me try dialing him in again. See if he.
Yeah, I can't proceed without a legal officer present.
Just have them.
Oh, there he is. Anthony, could you introduce yourself, please?
Sorry, Anthony, you're on mute as well, sir. No, you're still muted. Shine.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, now we can hear you. Yeah.
Oh, sorry,
introduce yourself, please. Anthony.
I had a bit of an out. Yes, my name is Anthony Biniesu. I'm a solicitor and the legal advisor to this.
Right. Thank you, Anthony. I was panicking then for a moment.
Sorry about that.
That's all right. No
Technical issues.
We also have officers acting in a producing role for the technical side of the meeting. You just heard one of them, Sadiq. But as they're not expected to be involved in the discussions of the meeting, I will thank them for their help, but won't go on to introduce themselves. Right, can we now just double check that everybody's muted their microphones again? Right, members of the public are reminded that the agenda and all the reports being considered for the panel today can be found on the council website under the licensing panel meetings page. So if you want to see them, that's where to look. I also want to make sure that all members have seen the agenda and reports. So please now speak if you've not had them. Nobody's looking blank, so aye. I would like to remind members of the need to hear all of the evidence in the report we're considering today. This means that you should listen to the whole debate. This is a legal requirement. If you should find you need to leave the meeting or you're having technical problems, need to log out of the meeting and come back in again, please let me know immediately. Ideally beforehand, but if not afterwards, by turning on your microphone. This would be a permitted interruption, and we can then decide how far we need to recap if that's necessary, or if the member needs not to vote on this item. That's something we will try to avoid. Finally, I would say to any member of the public listening or watching, thank you for joining us this afternoon. We hope this meeting will go well, but any virtual meeting may suffer from an unexpected technical hitch, so please bear with us. I should also clarify that this meeting is being recorded and it will be made available on the Council's YouTube channel in the next few days. Contributors to the meeting are asked to remember that they will therefore be included on the recording of this public meeting. So if there's anything you don't want the public to hear, don't say it at that time, because it will be recorded. Thank you. We'll now move on to the first item, or to the item on the agenda. We now move on to the licensing application for this decision at this meeting. This afternoon's application is for a temporary street trading licence to permit a stall to be set up in Chiswick High Road, Chiswick. Excuse me. Where we have time contributions, I will ask the legal officer to alert me when the allocated timings have been reached. I will also ask him to alert me prior to the guillotine being reached if we've not concluded the meeting at that time. Tonight, I'm looking to allocate 5 minutes to the applicant, 5 minutes to the objectors, which they share between them, and 5 minutes to Councillor Bidoff, who will be speaking as one of the local councillors. May I remind all members, officers and public speakers at this meeting to introduce themselves each time they speak, and also turn off their microphones when they finish speaking. It is also important to speak slowly and clearly so that everyone can understand what you're saying. Finally, if you are making reference to any agenda documentation, please give the page and the paragraph details. Right. So we now moved on to the procedure for licensing applications. Can I just, I've already got a list of the members of the public that will be speaking. Can I just confirm that? So for the objectors, I have Jill Spencer, Lorraine Pemberton, Amil Arvin, Maria Power and Mandana Kalati. Is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah.
Lorraine Pemberton.
Okay, I'll accept you. You're being spokesperson then there. Okay, thank you. And for the applicants, can I just be sure who will be speaking for the applicant? Is the applicant there?
Harper speaking for the applicant.
Yeah, can you just tell me who will be speaking for the applicant?
Yeah, my name is Alex Harper.
Alex Harper.
Yes.
And you'll be speaking for him. I
will indeed.
Yeah, I've received an email, or I haven't. I think the officer received an email requesting help with the statement from the applicant, and has asked me to read it out. Now, is that the situation, or will you be reading it out? Or
no, you can read it out. That's fine.
Well, I'd rather it was the applicant reading it. I don't want to, to come in on this where I seem to be in any way taking part on anything. I don't know. Is it possible for you to read the
Yes,
applicant?
I can do that. I mean, it probably may take 2 or 3 minutes to do so, if that's okay.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah.
Yeah, it will just
come to that. And that will obviously come out of your 5 minutes on that.
I understand. I understand. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Shall I do that now?
No. We're just doing all the preliminary stuff at the moment.
Okay. That's fine.
Trying to see who would be doing what. Okay.
Okay. That's fine.
So I'm presuming that there won't be. Well, you could tell me. Are you going to be the single spokesperson for the applicant?
I shall be. Yes.
Okay, that's fine. So I don't need to look for anybody else speaking there. Okay.
Okay.
Right, the process for an application with speakers will be as follows. Stage 1, the officer introduction and confirmation of facts. The officer to give their presentation on the application, and the applicant will then be asked if they agree with the circumstances described in the officer's report. Stage 2 would normally be any information coming from the police, the licensing body or any other body. We understand that there are no others. Am I correct there, Nicola? So I can put a cross through that group. Stage 3, it will be the applicant who will then be inviting the applicant to speak for 5 minutes in total and answer any questions from all other parties. There will then be followed by the questions. Stage 4 is the other persons, including objectors, which will be the objectors, which we've allocated 5 minutes to, and Councillor Bidoff, which we've allocated 5 minutes to. I'm assuming you're an objector, Councillor Bidoff. Right. So we will then ask the other persons to explain their submissions, and everyone will be given the chance to ask questions of them. They will then have 5 minutes in total overall. At the end of all this, I will then invite all parties to sum up their position, with the applicants being entitled to the last word, with their summing up being the last to take place. Excuse me. Right, so stage 6 is the panel deliberations. The panel will then leave the meeting to discuss the case and reach its decision. It will be joined by no one else other than the legal officer who's there to give advice on the law, but will not be party to the decision. The decision, stage 7, once we've done that, we will return to this meeting to read out our decision on the application, and that will conclude the consideration of the item. Right, we will therefore now begin the formal hearing of this case. I will start by inviting the licensing officer, Nicola Harbour, to introduce the report. Okay, Nicola?
Yep, thank you, Chair. Members are requested to determine this application for the grant of a temporary street trading licence in respect of a stall, Flavourland London, to be positioned on the public highway adjacent to 257 to 259 Chiswick High Road, Chiswick W4 4PU. This application was submitted by Mr. Gökhan Bozkurt, my apologies. The applicant wishes to sell homemade Turkish food, cold and hot drinks on Monday to Sunday, 6 AM to 2200 hours. We have been advised by the Traffic and Transport team that the temporary C9 runs on the carriageway at this point. Therefore, if the application were to be granted, it would not have an effect on the at the current time. However, the location of the stall would conflict with the permanent C9 scheme. I have informed Mr. Bozkurt of this, and that the licence, if granted, would be revoked when the work on the permanent scheme gets underway. The measurements of the area to be licensed would be 2.0 metres in depth by 3 metres in width. The application form plan photos of the proposed site have been attached as Appendix A. In accordance with procedures, licensing enforcement, Hounslow Highways, Fire Authority, Planning, Health and Safety, Food Safety, Traffic and Transport, and the 3 ward councillors have been consulted. We have received 10 representations, 9 from other persons and 1 from a councillor, who feel that it is unfair that the businesses in Chiswick pay high rates and rents which the applicant wouldn't pay. They feel there are enough fast food businesses in the area already, some of which sell the same food. There are concerns that the appearance of the stall may not be in keeping with the area. They also have concerns about possible littering that may be caused by the stall, food smells, noise and pollution from the generator the applicant plans to use, and the lateness of the hours of the applicant is applied for. Also, the granting of a licence may attract crime and antisocial behaviour in the area. Also, that the ability to social distancing may be compromised due to the additional stall in this location. In some of the representations, it was questioned that the notices were not adequately displayed. I have therefore attached the photographic proof supplied by the applicant that they were displayed. Please see Appendix A1. The full representations have been attached as Appendix B. Copies of both the report and representations have been sent to the applicant. Thank you, Chair.
Hi, Councillor Foote, you're on mute. You're on mute, Councillor Foote.
I'm sorry. Right, so yes, I'm now going to ask the applicant if they agree the circumstances as described by the officer. And just to clarify, this is not yet the time for them to put their case. It's just to get confirmation of the facts at this stage. So, Mr. Harper, are you okay with the facts as outlined by Nicola Harbour, the officer? Yes, is that Mr. Hart?
Yes, I confirm that. That's fine, Bill. Yep.
Okay, thank you very much. Right, okay, so we now move on. There is nothing from the Police Licensing Authority or other bodies. So we move on now to stage 3, the applicant's case. We now move to the submissions from the applicants. May I ask them to state their name and address and give their reasons for their application. May I also remind you that you only speak for a total of 5 minutes overall. So, Mr. Harper, are you ready to make your presentation? Mr. Harper?
Mr. Harper, you've got your phone on mute. You need to push *6.
You can hear me now, Bill?
Hello there. Yep.
Yep.
You can.
Yes.
Right. Okay, Mr. Harper. Yeah. Anyway, it's now the time for you to put your submission.
Okay, I understand.
You can start off by stating your name and address.
I will do. My name is Alex Harper. I'm interpreting for Ricky and Gorkhan Boskart. I've listened to obviously the points raised, and of course we understand the concerns of those who've raised the problems might occur around this area. First of all, regarding the generator, we've taken on board what has been raised, and we will now use gas, and we're going to try and go to a gas-powered eco-generator, which would obviously stop the problem of the noise of the generator coming through. Regarding the products as well, all the products will be prepared and packaged at the Gorkhan's home, so there'll be no smell coming around of frying oil or anything like that to do with the products around there. That will not happen. Regarding the rubbish around the area, there will be constant picking up of the rubbish throughout the day to make sure there's no mess around the area. We have a waste company organised to do that for us. That will not be a problem. Regarding the hours that the stall will be in use, now obviously when it's winter time, there will be less hours. We're not, it's pretty inclement weather, as you know, these days. So the hours would change regarding the time of year. So winter time will be a lot less hours working around there than will be summertime. Obviously in summertime there might be longer hours, but there's more daylight to deal with that as well. So that's the issue of that which I've taken in front of. The food to be sold, it's Turkish food, so that it's not a fast food. Again, it will be prepared at home, coming into the stall itself. So there'll be no smell coming around that as well. Regarding plenty of options in the area, as we know in the current climate, a lot of the restaurants in Chiswick seem to be closing down. There is a stall actually just further down, which is working away, as far as I know, pretty well. So it will just actually complement the area as opposed to hinder the area. So I think, again, that argument, again, is probably not too good. So we're just happy just to try and improve the area of Chiswick with an extra option of what we could do within that area, Bill. And that would be my concluding on that issue.
Sorry, Chair, you're on mute. Sorry, Chair, you're on mute again. Councillor Foote, sorry about that.
Yep. Right. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Harper. We'll now move to the questions of the applicant. I'll first ask members to do so, then officers. Sorry, no officers. So I first ask members to ask, and then move on to the objectors and Councillor Bidoff if they have any questions. But I'll start with members. Can you please make sure, or everybody, can you please make sure that you can only ask specific questions on the application. This cannot be let become a general discussion. So please, if you could, restrict your questions to the actual applications. So I first of all turn to Councillor Giles. Have you any questions of the applicant?
Yes, I do. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, yeah.
Great. Thank you, Mr. Harper. Can I just ask, has Flavourland London been set up as a limited company?
Mr. Harper, are you? Mr. Harper, are you there?
Sorry, Mr. Harper, you've just muted yourself. If you dial *6 to unmute, there we go.
Not yet.
Okay. So everything is being operated under Mr. Gorkan. Sorry, I've forgotten his last name. Under his as a sole trader.
As a sole trader, yes, that's correct.
Okay. Great. So I see that the hours are 6 to 10 o'clock Monday through Sunday. If Mr. Gorkan, sorry, I wish I'd picked his last name up properly from these files.
It's fine.
Boskurt, sorry, that's it. Boskurt. If he's going to be the sole trader, will he be cooking and then serving the food? Obviously, with operation hours of 6 until 10, what time will he be used to actually cook the food before it's being transported to the site and sold?
It is actually Mr. Gorkan and his wife. And his wife will be doing the cooking daily, and Mr. Gorkan will be serving the food daily.
Okay. So, and then where will so obviously stall setup, dismantling, how will the stall and the foods be taken and loaded to the site?
With hiring a van, there'll be a van used, which we're organised, be used every day to take the stall backwards and forwards every day.
And the foods, how will they go to the site as well?
We've got a separate van for that as well.
Okay, and where will those vans be when they're not in use?
They'll be taken back again. They have some drivers organised. They'll drop them off and take the vans back, and then come back again also every day and pick the stuff up and take them home again.
So by that count, I've got 4 different people working as a result of this enterprise.
Indeed, yes.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Okay. So once the food is on site, I see in the application you said you're going to have a coffee machine, microwave, crepe maker, toaster machine, grill, and something else. But you're going to be switching out your generator for gas cylinders or gas power. How do you power a coffee machine via gas? Or a microwave, or a crepe maker, or a toasting machine?
I'm just asking the applicant.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I've just spoken to the applicant. That there'll be a generator, a small generator at the start, but then also if we can, we're going to use gas as much as we possibly can.
And how will that generator be powered?
How would you power generator? Yeah, we're going to use, apparently it's a gas generator that we use, which is powered by gas. It'll be quite a one.
Okay. And where will, so obviously 6 till 10, long 16-hour days. how will Mr. Broadkirk be able to relieve himself? As in bathroom facilities.
Hang on, just a question. Hang on a second. Yeah, there'll be someone. There'll be one of the applicant's friends who will be joining them, and they'll just also share the duties of working throughout the day.
So where will he go to the bathroom? I just want to reiterate that question.
Yes. Yes, they're obviously friends in the area within Chiswick, where they've organised to do, if they can use the bathroom and toilet there.
Okay. And may I ask how far away that is from the stall?
From the stall itself, Wilton Avenue, which is about probably five minutes away from there.
Wilton Avenue. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. And I'm going back to my questions about the vans and kind of loading and unloading. Where will the vans be parked while you are loading and unloading? The stalls, the foods, there's a lot of stuff to get out.
I understand, yes. Wait until you unload off. Yes, they send you the side street round the side towards the library area, which is an area there for unloading. Apparently, they can unload and take the stuff off from there.
Okay.
Just round the corner from it.
All right, Chair, that's my questions for the moment.
Okay. I'll come back to you before we move on. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, Councillor Kiani, have you any questions of the applicant?
I think quite a few questions was already asked, but I've a couple of questions. Okay, the food is. Are you going to cook any food at the stall or not?
Sorry, can you repeat the question, please?
Mr. Harper, is the applicant going to cook any food at the stall?
No. The food will all be cooked in their home. Okay.
And then the food is coming in the morning, I believe, and will stay there till 10 o'clock in the evening. So
I think
how he is going to store that food while on the stall?
They won't be there till 10. I think 10 is a bit of the big estimate. I think by summer they will be finishing by 8 o'clock at night. But they will have again a kind of a fridge freezer there and a fridge as well. But the cook it'll be perfectly it'll be absolutely fine. There'll be a fridge within the stall.
Okay, so there will be fridge that the food will be refrigerated in there. Yes.
Indeed, yes.
Okay. That's Chair. I don't have any further question.
Okay. Right. Okay, Mr. Harper. Yeah, I've got a couple of questions. Really about these times. They sound very flexible. Not sure we're getting a picture. Is there any reason why it was originally put at 6 AM as a start time to 10 PM?
I think the 6 was just kind of as a drop-off time before the traffic built up. I think obviously the time that comes to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock would be the kind of the starting time to get the food organised and selling for the morning passing trade. And again, the finishing time on that. I mean, it's winter time, for example. I don't see them working much past sort of 4 PM in the afternoon with the inclement weather. So the kind of our flex, the 6 AM time, I think, was just to try and get themselves organised, get there early, get set up, and hope to start selling by about 8, 8:30 in the morning.
So, okay, I assume that Mr. Sorry, I've got the same problem. It's Gherkin, I remember. Postcard, yeah. Can I assume that that in fact is not actually working in this trade at this stage, because I know that the safety certificate and the catering awards are all dated at about the same time this application was being made.
Yeah, well, Mr. Burkett is in fact Turkish, and he managed a large facility, including restaurant and cafe and stall, for 22 years. So that's where the background comes from. His wife was administrative in hospitals. Sorry?
Was that in Turkey?
It was in Turkey, yes.
Yeah, okay,
yes.
Yeah, right, okay. Yeah, go on, carry on.
And his wife, obviously, she worked in hospitals for many years until she retired. And with that in mind, of course, is very much involved in healthcare, which was regarding the hygiene conditions, because she'd be obviously super keen to make sure that in these days things are very much up to speed regarding that aspect as well.
Okay. So on the waste contract, I saw that in the notification from the waste contractor was mentioned that they would collect once a week. Now, you know, that seems pretty sparse for a collection. I think you, when you were making your presentation, you seem to be referring to daily collections. The quote that you've got is for a weekly collection. Can you elaborate on that?
Yep, give me a second, Bill. No, that will be every day, Bill. That's a mistake. It'll be every day.
Okay. Right. Okay. So, well, I know that all these licenses, etc., were issued in another borough. They weren't issued in Hounslow, were they? They're issued. I've forgotten where I saw it, but in another borough somewhere.
Merton.
In where? Sorry.
Chair, sorry, it was Merton.
It's where? Sorry.
Merton.
Merton.
Merton. Yes. Yes.
Is that where your own home address is in that area?
Yeah, that's the reside, Bill. Yes.
Okay. All right. No, it explains it. I just sometimes I get a bit strange whether it looks. Sometimes it looks like people are trying to avoid us.
Yeah. No. They're definitely living Wimbledon, Bill. So.
That's fine. I understand. No, I've got no further questions at the moment. I'll just go back to my colleagues. Councillor Giles, do you have any follow-up questions?
So many, but I don't know if they're appropriate for right now.
If they're not appropriate, I'd rather you didn't use them. But
yeah, I think you can pass on from me.
Okay, Councillor Kiani, are you okay?
No, I'm okay. Don't have any question at this stage. Yeah.
Okay, then I'm going to go to the other persons. I think for clarification, the objectors, to ask them if they have any questions of the applicant. Can you when you speak, could you give your name when you speak?
I have a question, Councillor. My name is Mary Power.
Okay, yeah. If you like to ask a question of, well, it's Mr. Harper who's taking the questions. Yeah.
Sure. I'm confused about the waste collection. On the one hand, we were told that there would be constant picking up of waste, and on the other, we've now found out that the collection is going to be once a day. Who's going to do the constant picking up? And if it's going to be the people who are manning the stall, how are they going to keep the stall manned?
Thank you for your question. Also, there'll be two people there. I mean, with regarding the waste, depending how we're starting off with once a day, but depending how busy the stall gets, obviously we'd be quite keen to increase that, to do the stall more often, to do it twice a day, depending on the traffic coming through. So that's just a kind of starter for us, just to see how well we do. Obviously, you know, it's kind of an unknown territory a little bit for us anyway, so it's just trying to see how things pan out. If we get super busy, obviously, then there'll be more collections. But regarding on the site itself, that'll be constantly manned and looked at, you know, as the kind of if and when requires.
Okay. Any other questions from the objectors?
Yes, I have. Lorraine Pemberton.
Okay, Lorraine. Yeah.
I'm concerned, Mr. Harper, I'm very concerned about the hours. You are aware that above all the shops, it's all residential. Indeed, yes. And do you think it's fair and acceptable for a noisy setup to start at 6 o'clock in the morning and not finish, if you finish serving at 10 p.m. at night, by the time you finish, that will be approximately 11 p.m. Do you not think that's unreasonable for all us residents?
Yeah, I appreciate your concern. I mean, obviously, there are restaurants in the area with the same sort of hours. Obviously, I think there's a stall further down from where we are doing the very same thing. So, and I also think that's very close to residence houses as well. So it will be along the same sort of hours as there. I mean, obviously, we're not starting until 8:30, 9. No. Regarding the noise, when you try and go for the super quiet generator anyway, we'll be very conscious of the residents around there. And we'll take every concern to try and make sure we don't disrupt the residents full stop, because we appreciate, I mean, obviously, you know, a lot of their friends and things do live in Chiswick, so we're very aware of that situation.
Sorry, which stall are you referring to? Do you mean Healthy Bites?
I think there's one, it's, what's the one?
That is
Healthy
Bites, yeah.
Is it sell falafel, is that right?
Healthy Bites, they sell basically Middle Eastern food.
I think that's the one, yes. That's the only one that's on there, yes, I agree, yeah.
Well, their trading hours are 10 till 6 p.m. No, 10 till 4 p.m. 10 till 4 p.m. So why would you think that you should have longer trading hours than them? And if you are granted longer trading hours, what's to stop Healthy Bites from saying, hey, this isn't fair? So us residents.
Yeah, no, I understand your point. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we're quite, as I say, this is a new venture for us, so we are quite flexible. I mean, if someone said to us, you know, it's between 10 and 4, 10 and 6, then obviously that's absolutely fine. You know, it's just if that's the way it should be done, then that's more than fine for us as well. So if we start at 10, we start at 10. We finish at 4, we finish at 4.
Mr. Harper, I know you're fully well aware of Healthy Bites trading hours, because they've told me either you or Mr. Boskert have actually spoken to them, and I'm perplexed why you would ask for 6 till 10 p.m. When in a reply from Mr. Boskert to myself, which I'm guessing you probably had a major contribution.
Ms. Pemberton, can you restrict that to a question, and then you will have a chance to make statements later? Okay.
Well, I just want to know why, Mr. Harper, you feel that you should have longer trading hours than the existing stall.
We don't know. We're very flexible on that. If we've got shorter hours, it's not a problem.
Okay. Is there any other questions from the objectors?
Can I make my? Can I ask a question? Can you hear me?
Yes. Who's speaking?
Yeah, this is Mandana Kalati. I think, Mr. Harper, as I was listening, you said that you live in Merton and you're going to cook the food in Merton, and from Merton you're going to deliver it to Chiswick. Is that right?
That's correct. Yes.
Yes. So from Merton to Chiswick is about an hour driving. Is that right?
It's in roughly 45 minutes.
Traffic, yeah. If it's a traffic, it's even more. So I mean, how are you going to transfer the food? I mean, if we're getting quite hot in the summer, or how going to be the status of the food, you know, with this delivery?
Hang on a second. Yeah, with the food they're cooking, it will not affect the food quality at all.
Sorry, I didn't hear that.
Yeah, but with the food they're cooking, it won't affect the quality of the food at all. The drive from Merton to Chiswick will not affect the quality of the food at all.
So the quality wouldn't affect that?
No,
If whether
no.
it's a cold weather or whether it's a hot weather, the
No.
quality wouldn't... Oh,
It'd be exactly the same, yes. Exactly the same, yes.
I think it's very interesting.
Right.
Exactly, that's what I'm concerned. Okay.
May I ask another question, Mr. Harper?
Of course you can, yes.
The vans that you're transporting the food in, will they be refrigerated vans?
They would be, yes.
But I'm so sorry, but I believe the refrigerator van is quite, because I do have a local business there, and the food that comes with the refrigerator van, it's very expensive, so I have to pay extra charge when they use this refrigerator van.
Yeah, can we keep to a question, Ms. Kalati?
So that's why I'm concerned, how they would gonna transfer the food from Merton to here, and in the evenings take them back.
Yeah, but you've had an answer. You might not like the answer, but you have had an answer, and you will be able to make the points later when you have your chart.
Sure. Thank you. That's all.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the objectors?
Not from Jill Spencer.
No. So that's all, is it? Yeah.
Councillor Foote, Councillor Biddulph has her hand up. I don't know if you...
No, I'm going to take Councillor Biddulph. Yeah. So I'm just making sure that the applicants, the objectors, have finished.
This is Lorraine Pemberton. I have no more questions.
Okay, right. I'll go then to Councillor Biddulph if she has any questions.
Sorry, this is Arvin. I got one more question.
I'm sorry. Oh, hang on. Who am I talking?
Yes, this is Arvin. I got one question regarding the generator.
All right. Sorry. Go on then. Yeah.
Mr. Harper, as far as I know, you want to use the generator, and because you got the fridge inside the store and some equipment that needs energy. I'm still confused. You want to use the generator, gas or electricity, and what you will do against the noise and the old problem that will happen maybe with using the generator.
Gas generator? It would be a gas generator, which is pretty noiseless apparently in its conception. So that will cut the noise down considerably with it being a gas generator.
Okay, but I got confused because which coffee machine can supply with the gas? Can you let me know what is the branch that you are using for the coffee machine? I haven't seen on the market. Can you address us? What is the coffee machine?
There'll be a separate generator for that itself, but it'll be a very small one and it won't produce much noise.
And have you bought your generator or not yet?
Not yet, no, not yet. We've made some inquiries.
I'm saying, have you got any idea the information about the generator you want to use? Because they all have this very certain level of the noise, and we can make a decision. Because you know how many kilowatt you need, and based on you can know which one you use. You have to provide us the proper information. If you want to put the generator inside.
Mr. Arvin, I think at this stage it would be wrong to insist that somebody's giving you absolute finite details on what sort of make and so on is. At the moment they're making an application. They don't have to have bought any of this stuff at this stage.
No, I'm saying there's maybe in the other way. I'm saying they know they want what they need. Based on the generator power, we can understand how much noise level they got, and we can better idea what's happening.
Well, yeah, I thought he answered that to you, that saying that there was a gas generator, which is a relatively quiet thing, but for the coffee there was a small generator making the coffee, which was even quieter. Now, that's what I heard him say.
Yes, but for what a quite long period of the working on the store, they need a fridge. For the fridge and coffee machine, they need a bigger generator. It's not possible for the small generator because I heard
that's what he said. He's not saying he's got one small one for all of those. You asked him the question about coffee. He answered it. You asked him the question about the actual generator. He answered it. Now, if you've got questions, any more questions, fine. But I think it's time to move on that one.
Yes, please. Yes. What about fridge?
Yeah, there was another small generator for the fridge as well.
It means at least 2 generators, one for fridge and one for coffee machine. Am I right?
Correct. But the smallest ones to obviously to produce the power for both devices. Yes.
That means at least you need 2 different separate generators. Thank you so much. This is my concern. Thank you.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay. So is that all of the questions of the objectors? Yep.
Yes.
Okay. Right. I'll now ask Councillor Bidoff to come in. Right, Councillor.
Thank you, Chair. It's Councillor Joanna Bidoff, Tone Green Ward. I do have some questions. Where else, I think I heard you right, where else are your stalls? I understand that there were some in Turkey, but is it correct that there aren't any in London yet?
There's none in London yet, no.
Anywhere else in the UK?
Not yet. This is the first application.
Okay, so can I ask why you chose Chiswick and not Merton, where the applicant lives?
You know, the applicants know Chiswick very well, and hope to move here at some point in the future. And I think it's an area that probably would, you know, if you started to go up, would definitely enhance the area itself. So that's the reason why they chose Chiswick.
Okay, so you used the word enhance before. What research have you done into places that sell similar foods?
I think they have done some research in Hammersmith and Merton itself, in different areas to try and see how how it would work out. They've done extensive inquiries into how it's set up, so it's not just sort of fly by night and setting up by. You know, they've done some serious inquiries into other places with the same sort of idea to make sure it works the best way.
Sure, I don't mean whether a street stall would work. I mean the cuisine. I wonder what you've looked into. My comments contained a long list of places that sell similar foods. I'm just wondering what research you had done into it.
Sorry, could you ask that question again, sorry?
Yes, so I wasn't thinking about general research into how running a street stall. I meant into the cuisine, because one of the points you make in your application is that there isn't anything else like this here, but my research, and as the ward councillor, shows that there is an awful lot of competition for the cuisine, as well as for the type of food at the price that it is. So I just wonder what research you did to be able to come up with your comment that there isn't any competition.
Well, I think obviously in Chiswick itself, I can't think of many places in Chiswick that has Turkish cuisine. I know it's probably a kebab shop along the end of the higher road, but I can't think there's many places in Chiswick that do serve Turkish cuisine. So again, it was an option to try and give something different to Chiswick regarding that cuisine.
So I think the difficulty is that Turkish is very fluid, as it's a Middle Eastern type of food which is available in maybe called different names in some places, but pretty similar. And there are quite a lot of places in Chiswick selling identical foods. So I'm surprised by your comment, and the evidence that you give isn't really meted out in practice. Would you agree with that?
Actually, not really. Because I live in Chiswick, and my wife is Turkish, and we have to say, you know, that we can't see anywhere at all in Chiswick that serves, you know, original Turkish cuisine. So hence the reason why we're looking to set up that type of food. I mean, we don't sell doner kebabs. It's not that sort of idea. You know, it's more kind of original Turkish food without taking the doner kebab into it at all.
And I wasn't talking about the doner kebab either. I was talking about the equivalent of Turkish pizza, which is on your menu, which is sold in Chateau, which is a few yards away. Other items, meze, pastries, cake, desserts, Middle Eastern versions of them are sold in several places in Chiswick. So I'm very confused about that. Also, are you aware that if you know Chiswick, you'll know Le Pain Quotidien, and that is now to be a Turkish restaurant. So that's adding.
I wasn't aware of that, no.
Okay, I'm sure you know where it is, and it's also very large.
I do, yes.
Yeah, the difficulty is, as I'm sure you'll agree, is that bricks and mortar shops have to pay for rent and rates and all those other costs and are struggling in the pandemic. And this
Can we stick to a question, Joanna, please?
Yes, indeed. Yeah. You're a chef, I believe, Alex. Is that right?
I'm not. Mr. Boscott is.
Okay. Sorry, I'm thinking of a different Alex Harper then. Just the point is that the question is about bricks and mortar shops and whether you recognise that bricks and mortar shops are really struggling at the moment, and any competition that there is from anyone else, and particularly from a street stall where the costs are so low, damages their business at a time when they're struggling so hard to keep going, and indeed aren't keeping going, but are hoping that there'll be an upturn. That's something. I wonder if you've considered that. I
know I have considered that. I think obviously competition is not a bad thing, and obviously it's just nice to have that choice of variation of what you want to try and eat, what you want to do. But I appreciate your point, though. Yes.
Okay. So I'm still saying that there's a lot of food that is very similar available run very close by. In terms of the hours, are you also aware that whether they're limited or not by the panel, or whether they're from 6 till 10, whatever, to suit residents or indeed traders, any hours that you operate do directly compete with bricks and mortar shops which are struggling, and some of them do sell Turkish food. So I find the competition, I do not think that the competition point is unfair competition rather than fair competition. Costs of running a street stall, a couple of £100 a year versus rent at a couple of thousand, 3,000 perhaps, or outgoings 3,000 a month.
Yeah, no, I appreciate your point, but I would still say it's fair competition.
Okay. All right, so I don't think I have, oh yes, one final question, sorry, Chair. I'm confused about the food and whether it's obviously coming cold and refrigerated, and it's coming quite a distance, so it won't be hot. There's been reference to a grill and something else. Are you heating food at the stall?
Yes, they are, yeah.
And I don't understand then how does that not create smells?
No, there's no oil there. No, it's on the grill. There'll be no oil there at all. There'll be no smell whatsoever.
When I grill food, there's the smell. I don't, unless it's completely packaged, and even then.
No, I can assure you there'll be no smell.
Okay. Thank you, Chair. That's my question.
Not a problem.
Right. Thank you, Councillor Bidoff. Right. So we move now to so have we got any of the members? Do they have any more questions back there? No.
For the applicants?
Yeah. No. Okay. Right. So we now move on. Let's see. Sorry, I'm losing my place. Right, okay. So we now come to the submissions from the objectors. So
Richard, can I just ask one other question?
Yeah.
So Mr. Harper, according to the street licensing, we've got to be careful of competition and like businesses operating within a certain radius of yours. By your own admittance today, you've said that Healthy Bites does what we do. So how is Flavourland London going to be different to either Healthy Bites, or, to follow up on Councillor Bidoff's question, a lot of the other Middle Eastern inspired cuisines that, admittedly did fall under the Ottoman Empire for such a large time, and so therefore is going to be influenced by some of the same ingredients and techniques?
So I was actually unmuting you at that time. Can you repeat the question, please?
So by your own admittance today, you've said, so according to the street licensing policy, we have to be aware of competitors setting up within a certain radius of bricks and mortar shops.
Yes.
And by your own admittance today, you said that Healthy Bites does the same food as we do, or similar. You said something like that on this call. Bearing in mind Councillor Biddulph's point about kind of similar type foods, and the fact that the Ottoman Empire has influenced a huge amount of cuisines over quite a large amount of area, what's so different about what you do, considering everything is underpinned by so much of a shared history?
I understand, yeah. No, obviously I think the other stall is kind of falafel as its main source of what it sells, but this is actually original Turkish cuisine, which is a little bit different in its setup, what it is.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Chair. You can carry on now.
Okay, right. So we now go to the submissions from the objectors. So I've got Ms. Pemberton, I think, was the spokesperson, I think, at one stage. Is that correct?
Well, Jill Spencer is going to speak first.
Okay, right. So you understand that you've got 5 minutes to share between you.
Yes, and we've all timed our speech.
You're wonderful. You're wonderful. You're a friend of mine already.
Can I check we're all off mute? Is that?
Yeah. If you could stay on mute while you're making your contribution, and then when the next person comes in, if they make their they go off mute, but the first person goes on mute. So if we just have one person off mute at a time, otherwise it does pick up through the microphones. So.
Okay. I'm Jill Spencer. Shall I start?
Yes, please. Yes, your time starts now.
I'm Jill Spencer. I've been a long-term resident in the Turnham Green area for about 40 years. I'm a member of Friends of Turnham Green and also part of the church community at Christchurch. Part of the charm of deciding to live here is the character of the high road, the wide tree-lined pavements on the high road and the green itself. For the proposed site, I consider that this site is not suitable for any food stall. It lies within the Turnham Green Conservation Area and would result in a loss of amenity for the local community. A stall on this site would block the view of the parade of shops on the south side, already well known as a difficult trading area. Litter, there's already a problem with litter in the area and consistent problems with overflowing waste bins at the entrance to Turnham Green. A further food stall would only exacerbate this problem. I'll hand over to Lorraine.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Spencer.
Shall I start?
Yes, please. Yeah. If you just go straight in, yeah. Anthony will be keeping a stopwatch on and off on you, so you're all right.
My name is Lorraine Pemberton, and I've lived in Chiswick for 44 years at the same address on Chiswick High Road. I live about 50 feet away from Healthy Bites, and potentially, if this license is granted, I'll be 20 feet away from Flavourland. Already with Healthy Bites, there is significant odour pollution from strong garlic and onions and other herbs and spices. Flavourland's food is very similar to that of Healthy Bites, thus the odour pollution will be doubled. Referring to London Borough Council's environmental website, food odours are classified as a statutory nuisance. Now, I've had to complain to Healthy Bites. I haven't yet gone to Stephen Maunders at the environmental team, but I've had to complain to Healthy Bites. They've tried to redress it, but have not succeeded. And it's not fair that residents and businesses should be subjected to heating food odours in their homes and premises for 7 days a week. The applicant has, in his 2 replies regarding my objections, clearly does not understand that the act of reheating food creates food odours. And the guarantee Mr. Harper gave that there would be no food odours is not true. It will pollute the environment and seep into our homes. Therefore, I ask you, ideally to fully reject this application, but if you do grant it in any shape or form, please not for 7 days a week and for only as the same hours as Healthy Bites. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay. Who's next?
Yeah, my name is Amir Arvin. I'm the franchisee and owner of it at Chiswick High Road number 263. I strongly agree with Jill and Lorraine, but I would like to focus on my point. I want to bring this to your attention that the new tenant of the number 240 on Chiswick High Road are going to be a Turkish. The group has a Turkish chef, and its menu have a Turkish and Middle Eastern influence. I strongly believe this license application must be rejected, as it is against of the Hounslow Street trading policy, where it's saying clearly the goods to be sold must not duplicate those of neighboring stores or shops. Thank you so much.
Right, okay, Mr. Arvin. Yeah, next speaker. Is there another speaker?
Yes, Mary Power should be.
Yeah, and she's not, I'm not hearing her.
*6 to unmute.
Oh, hello. This is Mary Power. I'm
Right.
also a resident. Shall I go ahead?
Yes, yes, please, yes.
Yeah, sorry. Okay. Yeah, I'm also a resident, and I would like to support some of the comments that have been made so far, but in particular, the operating hours are just way too long. It's an 18-hour day, and all sorts of implications for that, including antisocial behaviour. I'm slightly surprised that the police haven't been consulted on this, also I gather from the covering paper from your officer. Also, I'm still concerned about the toileting arrangements. Wilton Avenue isn't all that close, and we already know that we've got problems from the Healthy Bite stall who use one of the nearby alleys as a toilet, which isn't ideal. And the comment about smells from the operator, I don't think is realistic. I mean, there's going to be a grill, there's going to be a microwave. We've already got odour pollution from one stall, and this will just add to it. Thank you very much for listening.
Okay, can I just make one point? The police are not, we don't ask them to be consulted. They automatically, they have, if you like, the notice of what this is. They decided that they didn't want to make an input. So it's not, the council did not fail to consult with the police.
Oh, fair enough. No,
That's standard licensing practice. The police have an appointed licensing officer who is a police constable who's responsible for licensing in our borough and Ealing, and he would be looking at those papers and deciding if they want to make an input. But that's just for clarification. Can I? That won't come off your time. So I'll move on to the next speaker.
Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. My name is Mandana Kalati, and I'm one of the local business owner on the Chiswick High Road. First of all, I just want to say I agree with what everybody has said, but my concern is that the council should helping the local business in this pandemic. And by allowing another food stall to operate means taking business and customer away from those who are already struggling. They are paying minimal rent and rate and have the least expense, yet they will be right in the middle of the road taking the most customers. This is not fair and not supportive to our local business in Chiswick. Thank you very much.
Okay, Ms. Kalati. Right.
Chair, sorry, it's Lorraine Pemberton. Have we got any seconds left?
I don't know. Anthony, what's the time looking like?
Sorry, Anthony, you're on mute.
Oh, hello, Chair. Yes, we've got roughly about a minute left. It's got to be a very quick submission.
Okay.
Okay.
You've got that. You've got a minute there.
I don't need a minute. Regarding social distancing, I sent a photograph in of a small queue at Healthy Bites at the end of their lunchtime session. I missed the actual lunchtime session, but there is no social distancing if there's 3 people in the queue, because they queue from the front of the store to the front of the shops, right across the pavement. And I suspect that another store will have the same problem. We are still in a pandemic, which if we've got shot of it by the end of this year, we'll be extremely lucky. How do we know that Healthy Bites will monitor their queue? Sorry, Flavorland will monitor their queue, because Healthy Bites certainly don't. Thank you.
Well, that does come under police and enforcement activity under COVID regulations, which is not part of licensing.
Is it not?
No, that's COVID regulations, and the only time that we come into effect is somebody's in breach of their regulations, then the police can ask for the license to be rescinded. But that would be under COVID. We wouldn't be making an application for it, or withdrawing one, or rejecting one. Specifically on that basis.
Thank you for educating me on that.
I'm sorry that I really didn't mean to sound like I'm educated.
No. And I wasn't being flippant or sarcastic. I genuinely didn't realise that wasn't under your remit. It was the police and enforcement issue.
Yeah, we do cross over paths occasionally, but yes.
So I will contact them. Thank you.
Fine. Okay, so we now move to questions of the objector. So can I go to? Oh, sorry, no, I've missed. Yes, I've missed out, Councillor Bidoff, to make your application. Sorry, Councillor.
Submission.
Thank you. So I just
because you made your question sound so much like a presentation. You see.
They were all questions, actually, Richard.
I know.
I know that is something you're trying to pick me up on, but they were all questions today. So to go to my points, please. I'd like to raise the competition point again, and in 2 respects. The many clauses that I've highlighted in my submission, it was 16 clauses in relation to the street trading policy, the hours, and the fact that this is where this stall is coming from. So on the competition point, this new emphasis that the licensing committee has put on it, which is about cuisine, there is competition, whatever is said. The food is terribly similar in this area, and I've listed numerous places which sell very similar issues. And I think the distinction by nation is false. People don't eat more because there's a new cuisine. They just eat at the different place, taking business away from those who are existing. It's about market share. Everyone is vying for the same customers at the same times of day. This street stall will take business away from our struggling shops, cafes and restaurants just when they need us to support them. We should not give precedence to businesses which are outside the borough. That's what I don't understand. This is an applicant from SW20, I think, certainly Merton, whatever the postcode is for that. Why should we, as a licensing panel, licensing authority, put our existing businesses at risk in favour of an out of borough business? He's got a chance to make some business locally, and I think that's what we should keep in mind. So of the many clauses I have listed, you can just go through the 210A, B, C, D, E, section 211A, C, D, E, F, and 4.1, 4.2, 4, 5, 5.3, A, B, C, and F. So an awful lot of points in the street trading policy, which I have picked up on. And we must remember that although there are 4 main riding areas for the licensing committee at the public order, this is a street trading application. We do have to take our own street trading policy into account. So I urge you, please, to consider the submission that you've got in front of you on those points.
Could you just state those numbers?
Yes, so 210A, which is about the location.
210A, yeah.
210A, it's a conservation area, and I just really am struggling with how we are allowing this part of it with the grade 2 listed church so close by, and grade 2 listed churches actually, and other grade 2 listed structures very close by, why we're turning this into a street store area. It's simply not appropriate. 210B, so this would be a second street store here, and 2 queues of people. We've talked about social distancing, which is not a licensing matter, but it's 2 people competing bang in front of Subway, which pays huge amounts in rents and rates, very close to Chateau, Wild Bunch, opposite places that pizza sold at Pizza Express, Hush Hush Chef sells very similar foods, and now we've got this Turkish restaurant opening very soon. 210C, this is going to go over the 5 minutes if I do it by clause, it's a bit difficult. 210C is also a second street stall, and it's about it being in front of a bench or very close to a bench where local residents rest when they're doing some heavy shopping, and we must encourage them to have that rest. We do have an older demographic in Chiswick. 210D is about the type of cuisine, and I have listed numerous places that sell very similar foods, including just different names for the same thing. Lahmacun is described as a Turkish pizza. There's a Lebanese pizza for sale, for example, in Chateau, which is only yards away. And I've mentioned others as well. Also, of course, cold and hot drinks are sold everywhere. So this really is going to be a direct competitor of huge proportions to an awful lot of businesses. 210 is about what's around locally, which is again grade 2 listed flats above, and they're distinguished flats. It cannot be turned into a street stall area. 211A effect. I do have concerns about the existing store on the area and on antisocial behaviour, particularly when lockdown is lifted. We must remember we're in extraordinary circumstances at the moment with lockdown. Fewer people out and about, but there are risks here for antisocial behaviour, and 2 queues for pickpockets is more of an attraction than 1. 11C and 11D, they're again similar points. There is some repetition in your street trading policy, I found, but so 211 is about competition, and again there are several places, numerous places in fact, are going to be selling at round about the same price point. I assume, although Alex Harper said this wasn't fast food, it is a stall, so it's not slow food, it's not sit down and have a drink beforehand. There are an awful lot of places that sell things at roughly a similar price to the same customers, therefore. We've had some comfort on the odours point. I'm still not convinced about grilling being odour-free, but there are some businesses here for whom odours are a real problem. A florist wants people to smell its flowers, not food. There's a gallery which always objects to smells in its gallery. There's a nail bar, again, that's a hygienic place. A hairdresser, 2 opticians. The odours would really adversely affect their customers and therefore their business. In others, I'm beginning to repeat myself because of the implications in the policy, but again, listing the places that are so nearby: Subway, Chateau, Hush Hush, Pizza Express, the Hot House Cafe, and Wild Bunch, and so on. The hours, I'm very concerned about the hours, because we made a restriction, or the panel made a restriction on nearby healthy bites, and just gave them the busiest hours of the day. That is when the bricks and mortar shops desperately need those customers themselves. They need lunchtime trade, which is during the day when we're not in lockdown, is significant for them. And in lockdown, when they're doing so little business, it's even more significant for them. We're hammering them by reducing the hours. There should be no hours for this street stall. Again, 0.45 is replication, and the 200 metres are numerous places for lunch, supper, breakfast, mid-morning, afternoon snack. The whole shebang is very close by whenever it trades. I've mentioned crime already. Others have mentioned the problem with waste. With an earlier stall, the committee asked if they would investigate using biodegradable food packaging, for example, whatever it's served in, and the utensils. And I don't know if that's something that, if you are minded, unfortunately, to approve this store, that should be something that you should consider. But overall, on all of those points, I really urge you to reject this application. Our other cafes and restaurants and shops that sell similar foods are really struggling. This is not the time to let a stall happen. They're taking advantage of the fact that they can trade during lockdown. Street stalls are allowed to, where shops are being advised only to do click and collect. That's another form of competition that our bricks and mortar shops. Good luck. That's it. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you, Councillor Biddulph. Right, Councillor Giles, have you any questions of the original, the group of five, and/or Councillor Biddulph?
Yeah, so I think my question is pretty similar to what I normally ask most objectors to any petitions or any applications. Is there anything the applicant to do to address your concerns? So I don't know who wants to answer that first.
Yeah, have you picked up on that? This is also to the five objectors as well.
Yeah. So
sorry, I'll wait. Whoever wants to go first.
That was me. That was Councillor Giles just saying.
Oh,
go
sorry.
ahead.
Yes, the thing that mystifies me is how.
Sorry, can you just tell me who's speaking?
Oh, sorry, Lorraine Pemberton.
Okay, Lorraine, thank you.
The thing that mystifies me is how Mr. Harper and Mr. Buskert say that there won't be any odour pollution. You know, even if I fry an egg or poach an egg, there is an odour. You know, and you can't get anything blander than poaching an egg. Toast bread, you get an odour, and if they've got a grill and a microwave, there will be food odours. And living where I do, which is going to be sort of about 15, 16 feet away from their stall, I'm concerned about yet more odour pollution. As I say, I already get it from Healthy Bites.
Okay.
And they're a good 50 feet away.
Thank you, Lorraine. Is there anything from any of the other objectors?
This is Jill Spencer.
Hello, it's Mary Power. I mean,
yeah, can we keep the answer?
Jill Spencer and Mary Power.
Another bite.
Yeah, I mean, leading on from what Lorraine Pemberton said was, yeah, I mean, they could have the shortest possible operating times and serve cold food, which would, you know, get away from the odour problem, and also possibly reduce the number of generators, which I think is already reached 2, if not 3. I sort of lost count during the session, but there we are. So yeah, there are some things that they could do, but I think in terms of the amenity and cluttering up of the conservation area, no, there's nothing that they could do. Sorry.
I know we lost Councillor Kiani for a little bit there. Councillor Foote, do you need us to repeat anything?
Yeah, Councillor Kiani, did you lose anything then? I didn't notice that you'd gone off, sorry.
Or, you know, I think my camera is a little bit playing, you know, otherwise I can hear you well.
Oh, you could. Okay, yeah. No, that's fine.
It's just the connection with the camera, I think.
Charles, then we thought we'd lost you.
No, I'm still here. It's okay. Just I think it's some wire is losing, you know, somewhere, you know, because it's my office computer.
I know our country's full of viruses at this time of the year.
No, but I can hear you. I'll tell you, you know, I was going to say interrupt, you know, within that, but I thought because I can hear you, and I'll let you know that I can hear you very well while it's still going on. You know, see, this is still going on.
No, don't worry. No, it was. I'll let Councillor Charles continue with that question.
Thank you.
Please do, you know.
So that was Marie Power, I believe, or was that Jill? I don't know which one.
No, this is Jill. Can I say something?
Yes, of course.
I mean, for me, I don't think it's acceptable in any way. I think whether we're talking about the conservation area, the amenity of the area, I think in terms of competition for the businesses around. For me, I think there's been a very sort of casual approach to researching the operation, and coming from a hospitality background, I don't think that's acceptable. Thank you.
And I know that there were two other objectors. So do you? I think it was Mandana, and I forgot the last name. I'm sorry. Do you? Yes, of course. Will you? Do you have anything else to add to my original question?
Yeah. Sorry. Can I talk? Can you hear me?
Yes, of course.
Yeah. This is Mandana. And as I said, I'm still saying that I find it very unfair. I've been saying it's not a fair. It's competition. No, I find it's very unfair at this pandemic time when everybody's struggling to get a customer. Somebody come in the middle of road, paying the minimized rent and rent,
right.
and take
Can I just interrupt?
That's not fair. Yes, that's
Ms.
all.
Garner, you had a question, which I believe was, can you think of anything that you would find that was said?
No,
but if you
no,
can't,
that's it.
if you
Thank
just
you.
stick to answer the question, because this isn't a second bite at the cherry of making a presentation.
Okay, that's
Right.
No.
I think in short it's a no.
Okay,
Chair.
that's the sort of answer I'm looking for.
And, so, did any of the other objectors want to make a statement before I ask Councillor Biddulph the same question?
No, I think you've got 4 of the 5.
Five, yeah, I'm just trying to be fair here.
Sounds pretty good.
I got no more question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Right.
And the same
Councillor
question to
Biddulph, then you can switch to Councillor Biddulph.
Thank you, Chair. Councillor Joanna Biddulph. I'm really confused about why they are not Merton, why they are cooking the food. For me, that would be what they could do, is operate in Merton and not spoil things in Chiswick for shops, cafes, restaurants that are really struggling to survive the pandemic and need help to revive after the pandemic is over without additional competition.
Have we lost Councillor Kiani again?
No, I'm still here. I can hear you.
Okay, all right. No, it's all right.
Chair, Councillor Foote, that's my question.
Okay. Councillor Kiani, have you any questions of the...
No, not really. No, not at this stage. No.
No? Okay. Can I just... I've got a couple. I'm a bit confused about looking at questions. I think, Mr. Arvin, you talked about a business at 240 High Road. Yes. How close is that to this particular place?
It's very close, less than 200 meters or so. I think so.
Is it? All right, because it looked further than that when I looked on the map, but okay.
It's just past Marks and Spencer's.
Yes,
Right.
so it's very close. It's less than 200.
Okay. The other thing is, I mean, I see that you've got a subway opposite there.
Yes.
Does that not call? This isn't aimed at Mr. Arvin. It's aimed at all of the objectors. But does not subway cause you any problems?
May Lorraine Pemberton, may I answer that?
Yeah.
I live above Subway, and pardon me for saying this, Arvin, but you were one of the original owners, franchisees of Subway. When Subway first opened, they had horrendous odour pollution problems as far as I was concerned. And for the first 4 years, it was a nightmare. However, in fairness to Arvin and Subway, they have now basically got their act sorted out. The only time there's now that there's a problem is when they haven't changed their filters on the filtration system often enough. It was a problem, but it isn't any longer, providing they change their filters, of which Arvin is fully well aware of, and both what's his name, Ian and Stephen Maunders were aware of the issues with Subway and odour pollution. But as I say, they've knocked that on the head now. My particular bête noire is Healthy Bites, and all Flavourland is going to do is increase, double the odour pollution.
So if I could just widen my question a little bit then. So you don't get any odour pollution from any of the, if you like, if I can quote Councillor Biddulph, bricks and mortar premises?
No, none whatsoever.
Oh, right, okay.
But I
don't have any fish and chip shops down there?
No, well, yes, there's the place and which shares with Rice, but that's way past HSBC, right at the beyond the end of the second part of Turnham Green. And
okay, yeah, no, it's all right. It was just a question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sorry, I was just trying to be comprehensive.
Yeah, no, I was just trying to figure out. I mean, we don't get, our only information is coming from ourselves as to which premises are down the high street, unless we go and walk. And at the moment, some of us have been isolated from being able to.
Yes, absolutely.
You and me both.
Yeah,
I'm fed up with it.
They refused it, man.
Right.
They refuse it. Okay.
Okay, right. There was a lot of other voices coming in then. So, yes, were you answering my question, Councillor Biddulph?
I think so, Chair. I mean, in terms of geography, this is a short stretch where there is only one food outlet in a bricks and mortar shop, and that is Subway. And there is then Healthy Bites. It is important to understand the way the high road works. Lorraine mentioned the Catch, which is the nearest fish and chip shop, which is hundreds of yards away. And there's another one down a different road. So it really is an area where street stalls are not appropriate. And that's the difficulty with the pandemic and with lack of knowledge of Chiswick. This is not a street stall section of the high road. Not that any of them are, but this particularly is.
My question was only based upon my lack of knowledge of the exact area,
yes.
But whether or not there was other sources of
not a smelly food. No, not a smelly food. There isn't smelly food apart from Healthy Bites.
Actually, I was just going to say, Chair, not on that side of the road.
Yeah.
I think that's the difference, and
opposite, there isn't anything either in that stretch. It's
food, sold on premises.
Yeah.
Okay, no, you've answered my question. Right, so let me think. Now I'm trying to follow myself. So we've got now the opportunity for the applicant to ask any questions, and we haven't asked them yet. Yeah. So the applicant, Mr. Harper, are you there?
Yep.
Is there any questions you'd like to ask of the objectors or of Councillor Biddulph?
No, absolutely fine, thank you.
You're okay. Okay, that's good. Right. So we now move on. So we now move on really to summing up. Now, I don't think I've missed anything out with all of the bits of paper, but right. Have I missed anything out, Anthony? Have you seen anything? No.
No, no, not at all, Chair. I think.
Okay.
Thank you. To sum up and.
Right. Yeah, I think we go to summing up now. What I'll do is I'll go to the other persons, the objectors first, to ask them to sum up. But please don't introduce new material. It is just making, if you like, bringing in your headlines on on the items that you've already said. So if you could sum up in that format, and then I will get the applicant to make the final summing up. Okay, over to you then. If I go first to our famous five, and go from there.
Jill,
I'm sorry, I shouldn't. You'll have to slap me. I do say things like that, but it's all done in good humour.
You read Enid's license as a lad, didn't you?
No, I've read it to my granddaughters. Right. Anyway, could you amongst yourselves just do a short summing up of your particular case?
Jill, do you want to start?
I think I said I think it's the site's inappropriate in a conservation area. I think the effect on the local businesses. I think the in terms of the competition of food businesses, I think that's totally unfair. And for me, is very much the rubbish and I think for those that are impacted, the residents and the businesses, the smell pollution. So I think also in terms of, I feel very unconfident about the applicants' planning of the generator and what the actual plans, what the actual operation is going to be. I think that's my summing up.
Okay, thank you. If I go down the list, Lorraine, do you have anything to say?
Yes, supporting what Jill says adds nothing to the amenity of a conservation area. I'm concerned about how many generators there are going to be, and odour pollution, and I'm a great supporter of independent traders in Chiswick who are struggling, and you know, one of them is a friend of mine who I've actually had to help out financially. That can't be right. You know, they're paying full rent, and rates and utilities, and street traders come along and pay a couple of £100 licence fees and small overheads for a 6-month licence. We need to preserve Chiswick High Road. We really do. And again, you know, why would somebody living and cooking food in Merton want to travel to Chiswick? It amuses me. Anyway, that's all I have to say.
Okay. Amir, have you anything to say?
Yes, just I want to again I agree with Jill and Lorraine. Just I want to repeat my point that the goods to be sold must not replicate those of neighboring stores or shops. But I'm thinking that they are repeating the food and at least the whole or part of the menu. And particularly, I want to bring your attention number 240, the Chiswick High Road. It was previously Lopan Kutadian restaurant, is going to be a Turkish, and they got the same menu and the Middle Eastern and Turkish food. Thank you so much.
Okay. Maria?
Hi, I think
You've gone. Yeah, no, I could, but then you went dead.
For me, it's the impact on people that live in the flats above the shops nearby, particularly odour and noise from setting up and dismantling. And then they can't get away from it. And I would feel so sorry for them if their problems were magnified by this second stall, because we already know that the first stall gives them problems. So particularly in lockdown, I think it's really quite cruel. Thank you.
Okay. And I go on finally to Mandana.
Yeah, I just want to, as everybody said, just please support the local business, not the stall. The local business who paying the full rent and rate, not these stalls. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Bidoff.
Thank you, Chair. The same points as before. It's the wrong location in Chiswick. It's the wrong town. It shouldn't be here. It should be in Merton or somewhere else. We must give precedence, in my view, to our own businesses, not to one from coming outside. In amongst all the other points that I've made, I think that's the most crucial point. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, John. Right. Now, the final summing up goes to the applicant. So, Mr. Harper.
Chair, can I just disrupt you here? I'm just trying to tell you that my camera is off, but I'm still here. You know, I can hear you everything. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no problem.
Okay, it's fine.
Right. Okay, Mr. Harper. Yeah.
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yes, Mr. Harper.
Yeah. Obviously, I've taken on board all of the residents' concerns, and obviously, you know, we'd like to try and work with the residents on any issues they may have regarding the opening hours. We can work around that and try and make it as easy for them as possible. You know, the open air issue, I think, is quite a good one. You know, in the current climate, it's good for it to try and have something that's going to be outdoors. They're basically just going to try and work with the residents with any concerns they may have in general.
Okay, is that it, Mr. Harper? Thank you.
It is, yes. Yep.
Okay, thank you. Right, can I thank everyone for their helpful comments throughout the meeting so far? So I'd now like to invite legal advisor for clarity for the procedure. Sorry, I'm sure that's a spelling mistake on my notes. To clarify the procedures for making a decision, what the options are open to us. Whoa, what's happened? Sadiq, I'm suddenly getting a...
He's been a little premature, if anything.
No, you're still live, Chair. Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Right, okay.
Yes, Chair. Can you hear me?
I'm now asking for Anthony, yeah, if you could clarify the procedure for us.
Yes, Chair. You have heard all the representation, which you must take into account. Chair, you've got certain options open to you as usual. You can either grant the application as it's been presented to you. You could also grant the application subject to certain conditions which you feel might be necessary to impose on it, or you could refuse the application in its entirety. Chair, you must have regards to the licensing policy in your deliberation and coming to a decision. I think the policy has been highlighted to you in submissions, which is something, as a matter of procedure, you would have to take into account. Those are my submissions, Chair. Unless I can assist you further, that's all I have to say for now. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Anthony. Right, we now come to the stage where the panel will withdraw with the legal advisor in order to come to a final decision. I'm estimating that we normally try to make it within 15 minutes. If it looks like it's going to be beyond that, then we will back through our technical people, come back and advise you that there is a bit longer. But I would ask you, if you could please, if you don't have to leave, please wait until we've come back. But if you could turn off your video cameras and microphones whilst you're waiting for the panel to return, because the meeting will be still live and viewable by the public. So if you are talking to each other with cameras and microphones, this means you will be overheard and it will appear on the recording.
Chair,
sorry,
may I ask?
Yep.
I've got two little Jack Russells that are crossing their paws that I just need to whiz out.
Yeah, sure. I mean, we will. I estimate. What's the time now? We're just on 5 o'clock. I would estimate that we'll be back in the room by 20 past.
Okay, no, I just need to throw them sort of out back.
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Is it possible for us to call back in? Is that something we could do?
Yes, certainly. It's just that I don't want to lose you if we don't have to. That's
Chair,
my only point.
Chair, can I just ask one clarification here?
I'm sorry?
Can I just ask one clarification? This is Councillor Kiani here. Do we need to leave this room and come back here, or, you know?
Who's that asking me? Is that Councillor Kiani?
Yeah, Councillor Kiani, yeah.
Yeah. We now go to the deliberation room.
Okay, that's fine.
Councillor, where we will go over everything that's been said. Then we will come back to this room to make our final decision.
Okay.
So I've got lots of people talking, and I can't quite figure out if anybody's saying anything to me or to themselves. No, right. Okay, so we're ready to go off to the deliberation room. So Councillor Kiani, Councillor Charles and myself. Oh, here we go.
Bye.
Bye.
Right, I'm going to hang up, everyone, and take the.
Okay, it's Bill the clerk here. I'd just like to say to any of the members of the public, if you should miss the announcement of the results, don't worry, I'll email everybody to let you know whether the application was granted or not. But yeah, as Councillor Foote said, they should be back in 15 minutes. But if dogs need to urgently go out, take the dogs out.
Hi, is anyone there?
Hello, it's Bill Lee, the clerk here. Who's this?
Oh, hi.
Oh.
No, I just wanted, I've done the doggies, given them their dinner. I just wanted to check if I hadn't been cut off or anything.
Oh, no, you're still here. But if you do get cut off, it's not the end of the world. I can email everybody with a yes or no result, and the full decision will be published next week. But obviously, it's nice to hang on if you can.
Oh, yes, yes.
Lorraine, this counts as the public broadcast. Everything we say now will be publicly broadcast.
No, I'm aware of that, Jo.
Okay.
But I thought you'd like to know about the doggies now feeling comfortable and replete.
Well, I certainly did, so thank you.
Oh, God.
Same here.
You know, it's unbelievable outside. It's so cold and crispy everywhere.
Yeah, it makes me glad to have a cat and not a dog, so I'm not obliged to actually go out myself.
No, unfortunately, I haven't got a garden because I've got the first, second and third floor above Subway. And so I'm a regular user of Turnham Green. But not even the doggies tonight showed much enthusiasm for doing anything other than the essentials of life.
Yeah, don't blame them.
No, I don't either.
They need little Ugg boots and everything, wouldn't they?
Yes. Yeah. And my male dog, Barney, he's an...
Hello? I think you've muted you. Yep, you've muted yourself.
Oh, we're coming back now.
Thanks. Good to know.
Yeah.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, hi.
Okay, I'm in the right room now?
Yes, you are.
All right, that's fine.
I think we're waiting for
Okay.
Councillor Foote.
Oh, that's what I
Anthony
thought,
to join us.
again, I'm gone into the wrong room. Yeah, okay.
No, you're in the right place.
Okay, okay, that's fine.
Sorry, Councillor Foote, you're on mute. Still on mute, Chair. Sorry.
Councillor Kiani?
Yeah.
We can hear you rustling your papers, so I think.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
No, don't worry.
Right. So we got everybody that's going to be here.
Do we need Anthony? I haven't seen him yet.
Oh, Anthony's not with us yet. Bill Lee's here. Yeah, I can see.
I'm here, Chair. Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So are we getting everybody back in? Yeah.
Yeah.
I know we're still waiting for Anthony.
Should be joining soon.
Is he Sadiq? Can you see any signs of Anthony coming over?
Yeah, I'm just giving him a quick dial now. Hopefully he'll accept.
Okay.
There we go. He should be in now.
Yep. That's Anthony with us. So, and we got all of the. Can we have our young ladies of the five?
I'm Lorraine Pemberton. I'm here.
You're there, Lorraine. Okay. Are your colleagues there as well, or some of them? We don't know yet.
Don't know.
All I can see is I don't have your. I've got little blue rings. I don't have any identities on them, so I don't know. There's four there, but I presume one of the is Mr. Harper. Are you present?
You need to push *6.
I can see Mr. Harper's phone number there, Chair.
All right. Okay.
Going by phone numbers, we have Mr. Harper, Mr. Arvin, Ms. Kalati, Ms. Pemberton, and Ms. Power.
Okay.
Seem to be missing Ms.
Spencer. Was it Miss Spencer taking her dog out, or was that?
No, that was me, which was
so that bit of business has been dealt with.
It certainly has.
Maybe I should rephrase that.
Yeah, we're missing Ms. Spencer, Councillor, but I can always email her if she doesn't.
Well, I can tell her.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Right. Okay then. So we've considered all of the contributions this evening from all sides, and we have reached a conclusion that we are rejecting the application.
Yay!
Please.
Yay!
Yeah, if we could you just restrain yourself a bit?
Sorry.
Or mute, or one or the other.
I'll restrain myself.
Yes. Right. So we have decided that we would be rejecting. We're rejecting it against the Council Street trading policy, para 210, but specifically 210B, which reads: the space is the designated street in which the applicant wishes to trade as a stationary trader is inadequate for the applicant to do so without causing undue interference or inconvenience to the persons or the vehicles using the street. We were particularly concerned that behind the actual stall is a quite large tree which would have been pushing the stall further into the pavement, and if we looked at persons being behind the stall to serve, persons being in front of the stall being served, and then persons outside the shops queuing to go in, and then also allowing space for people to move through, the people who are going from along the street and not in serving in either of those, that it seemed that the space was inadequate, especially in this time of separation. So that was our thoughts on that. The second one specifically was 210D, that there are sufficient traders trading in the street or at premises adjoining it in the articles, things or services in which the applicant wishes to trade. And by there we have said not that it has to be, the implications of this is not that the items have to be specifically the same to be of a problem, that they could be, I think as we made the statement that you could have, you know, a cheese roll or a cheese sandwich, but they would be the same, but they're not specifically the same. So that's the sort of thing that we think is correct there. And on item 210E, again, really back to the same thing, that the nature of the article, things or services which the applicant wishes to trade in is such that their sale or supply or their preparation for sale or supply would adversely affect the general amenity in the area which the applicant wishes to trade. So those are the items that. I'm sorry, I don't know who's talking. Who's talking?
Richard, it sounds an awfully lot like you being played back.
Does it?
Yeah, sorry, Chair. It was someone that joined the call again.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, I don't normally recognise my voice when I hear it spoken.
Well, we all sound differently than we do in our own heads.
Yeah,
so.
I cringe when I hear my own voice. Anyway, so they're the conditions. The applicant will receive is it 5 working days, Anthony? Yeah, 5 working days will receive a full explanation of the reasons behind that. And so I can at this stage wish you all good night, and please keep safe in these times, and all keep well. So thank you very much for all of your help in coming to reach these decisions, and we will now go our ways. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair, and everyone. Thank you.
Right.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks
so we're
for
waiting to